Welcome back to the Two Man Advantage podcast. I'm Darrin Carlo. Along with me is Mr. Kevin McShan.
Hey.
Kevin.
Hello.
Let's talk some Super Bowl.
Sure, we can talk about the most watched game in sports history and the most watched television program in sports history. Right. Although they say that every year once the Super Bowl ratings come out. But yeah, it was a good game, an interesting finish to say the least. Why you don't run the ball at the 1 yard line there, I have no idea. But certainly, Pete Carroll is taking the blunt of the blame for this one, as he should, as he's the head coach of the team that made one of the most idiotic calls in Super Bowl history. So, your thoughts?
Not mentioning any words there, Kevin. But let's go back to the beginning of the game before we get to that wacky and wild ending. The Patriots came out really like a house on fire. They really, they scored first, which kind of set the tempo of the game. But then the Seattle Seahawks came right back and gave it to one of their best playmakers in number 24, Marshawn Lynch.
And they didn't do that at the end of the game. Well, but anyway, go ahead.
But anyways, they make it all the way to. They were always matching them stride for stride. I think that really showed how much it was a close game to the very end. And even when Seattle, extended their lead to 10 midway through the third quarter, the Patriots did not give up, and Brady just hunkered down, and we see Brady, what he's done so many times, and lead a comeback to win a game.
Well, I'll say this. I thought it was one of the most aggressive Super Bowl games you'll ever see on both sides of the football. I mean, the Patriots go down and score before halftime, and then the Seahawks have less than a minute to go, and you think they're going to sit on the football, but they go down and score right before halftime. But to get back to your original point about Brady, it just shows how resilient of a player he is to throw two interceptions in the biggest game of the season and still be resilient enough to bounce back from that. It really showed a tremendous amount of moxie on his part. And the Patriots, I think, really wanted this one, considering that there had been a 10-year drought from their last Super Bowl. So I thought from top to bottom, the entire organization put a lot behind it because of the history of Brady and Belichick and losing their last two Super Bowls. So I thought this one was extra special, as the owner of the Patriots, Robert Kraft, had said.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this Super Bowl win, this was Tom Brady's fourth Super Bowl championship, tying him with Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw for the most Super Bowl wins in his career. With that fourth Super Bowl win, does that make Tom Brady one of the most legendary quarterbacks to ever play the game?
Well, I'll answer this question by asking you another one. By the whole Deflate saga, does this taint his legacy, or does this prove that he can rise up and overcome adversity?
Well, you could say that. I hate to say this, but Deflategate wasn't the first time that they've been accused of doing something illegal. If you guys don't remember Spygate
back in 2007,
yes.
Yeah.
And ever since Spygate, they never won a Super Bowl. Coincidence of their past Super Bowl wins? I don't know, but when the whole Spygate thing first started, that's all that they were talking about. Pounds per square inch, one of your favorite terms.
The new sports vernacular, yes. Absolutely.
I think the Super Bowl could be summed up in two phrases: pounds per square inch, and I'm just here so I don't get fined.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
Let me just say this about Deflate. The AFC Championship game was played in a monsoon. So even if it's proven not that the balls were deflated, even in the cold weather, balls are going to lose pressure and weight because of the moisture. But anytime the integrity of the game is questioned, the NFL has to look into that. And I don't know if you saw Charles Haley's comments about Brady's legacy being tainted because of the whole Deflate saga. So that'll be as a part of Brady and Belichick's biography as a whole, because this wasn't the first time they got caught, as you said before.
Mm-hmm. Excellent point. You also brought up an interesting point about how, Belichick and Brady work such well as a team. And with everything coming now and how they can always regroup and bring in more fresh new players for Brady to play with, and it seems that they don't miss a step and they just pick up where they left off. Now, my question to you is that, okay, that's great for the Patriots. What about the other teams in the league? More importantly, what does that mean for the Detroit Lions moving forward with Ndamukong Suh becoming potentially a unrestricted free agent?
Well, I'll answer the Brady portion of the question first. I think Brady and Belichick are the best coach and quarterback combination of this millennium. I don't think you can dispute that just based on the number of wins and the number of playoff wins that Belichick has as a coach, especially in this era of free agency and the draft and players moving. So I do think that the legacy will be shadowed. It has to be shadowed by this incident, but I don't think it tells the whole story about the tenure of both of them. And as far as Ndamukong Suh goes, it's the biggest offseason priority for the Lions that they'll have moving forward. I mean, there are other things they'll have to worry about getting more consistent play out of their offense this year, and some other pressing issues about other issues on the team. But certainly the Ndamukong Suh storyline will hang over them, and they're instantly worse defense as soon as he walks out the door. If I was him, I wouldn't leave because, first of all, the Lions can pay him the most money, and secondly, I wouldn't franchise him because of the cap number. But I do think the Lions have to adopt an at all costs philosophy, because if they want to continue to be in the upper echelon of the league, they need to keep marquee players.
Excellent. Well said. Yeah, well, and that's going to be a thing. If they're going to keep Suh, they're going to be prepared to give him a lot of money, which will probably handcuff them with rebuilding that offensive line, and also giving the offense and defensive backs more help. But it should be interesting to see. Hopefully Martin Mayhew can work some magic, and that'd be the best for everyone in Lions Nation too.
And one final question I had for you was, any thoughts on the departure of longtime center Dominic Raiola, the heartbeat of the team for the last 14 years?
I wouldn't go as far as heartbeat of the team,
Well, the emotional heartbeat anyway.
Yeah, sometimes the destructive emotional beat of the team. But yeah, he's been a great, I shouldn't say great line. He's been a consistent line. He's been there.
The most resilient, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he's the last piece of the 0-16 team that's still on the current roster. Well,
do you think he'll be picked up by another team?
Probably not. Because I think when it comes to centermen in the league, he's very undersized and not up there. When it comes to, I just don't see him playing for another team. I think if anything, he maybe gets a front office job with the Detroit Lions somewhere, or
a TV job.
I don't think TV likes him very much.
He likes the camera.
Yeah, he likes the camera for the wrong reason, I guess.
Oh, well.
If he's not stomping on anyone. But anyways, stick around. We'll come right back with some more Two Man Advantage podcast.
What else do you want to hit on, bro?
Ndamukong Suh. Ooh, 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 ooh. Ndamukong Suh. Ndamukong Suh. What you gonna do when Ndamukong Suh has broken on through and he's coming at you? What you gonna do when Ndamukong Suh has broken on through and he's coming at you?